Hey, this video has a sponsor. That sponsor is a company called GroveMade. They're awesome. I'm going to play a spot for you, and then we're going to get into the video, okay? Okay. If you're anything like me, you spend most of your waking hours in an office. That office should feel inspired. GroveMade, out of Portland, Oregon, has been making inspiring office accessories for the last 13 years. And to check them out, they sent me some stuff. Like this incredibly heavyweight, vegetable tanned leather desktop surface, where the underside is made out of this cork-like material made from sawdust that smells like my grandfather's wood shop back home. It causes the mat to not only lie incredibly flat, but also to grip the surface it lays on so it never shifts. They also send me this pen that looks and feels like a pencil from grade school that fits perfectly in my hand and opens with this gentle twist on the back of it. The base it sits in weighs somewhere around 10 ounces and has this super clean looking walnut inlay that the pen rests in and acts as its own small statement piece. Second to last, we have this task knife. Designed for light-duty cutting, it changes the concept of something like a letter opener to a conscious focal point rather than an afterthought. And lastly, we have this headphone holder. Something I couldn't ever stand was leaving my headphone ear cups lying face down on my desk. On the outside, we have this vegetable tanned leather padding, behind which lies two stainless steel rings that extend down into feet, with an exposed core made of walnut, with these grooves sanded into the top to act as a grip for the headband of my headphones. GroveMade's attention to detail, quality, and absolute love for what they do shine through in their designs in a huge way. So check out the link and improve your peace of mind and your productivity with GroveMade. Hey, what's up? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Onepeg, and in this video, we're going to talk about all things related to Nexon Korea Corporation versus that of Ironmace Games and how Ironmace had to appear in court yesterday. I'm sorry that I didn't have anything regarding this game for you all, or the court case regarding you all until, relatively recently now, because I just didn't want to milk you all, as much as people will say that I have been milking people with nothing burgers or whatever. But I promised that if it was something new, I would make a video about something new, so here we are. To get you all up to speed, Nexon Korea Corporation is suing Ironmace Games, the creators of the dungeon crawler Dark and Darker, because they say that in order for Dark and Darker to have existed, they must have stolen source code and other assets from a project called Project P3 that was unreleased from Nexon's internal workhouses located in Seoul, South Korea during 2020 and 2021. Now, that has obviously something that's going to come out in the wash, as they say, when it comes to court cases. But Nexon says that they are both in violation of Copyright Act's Digital Millennium Copyright Act in the United States, as well as the DTSA, the Defense of Trade Secrets Act in the United States. For those reasons, they are suing Ironmace Games in the United States because Valve Steam is the largest platform for this. Valve Steam is located in Seattle, Washington, which is why it is being litigated there. And Nexon argues that the largest market share of all the business that Ironmace would potentially generate is in the United States, based on player base numbers and geographic locations of information that are pulled from Steam's databases, where approximately 31% of all players were resided in the United States, with the second place being Japan at 9%. So this is being argued in the U.S. under U.S. laws for the reasons of money, basically. Now, there are no court cases, as I am aware of Nexon suing Ironmace Games as a company in that of Korea. Nexon is pursuing litigation against an individual that works for Ironmace Games, who they say stole a bunch of information from them and must have brought it to Ironmace. Insofar as proof of all of that, that is what we are waiting to see. And in 30 days, based on the date of this filing of the 16th, we will hopefully know exactly that. And here's the document. And for those of you that want to see all of the historical documents and my historical notes, as well as these documents, whatever it is that you would like to use as reference materials to be able to catch up on all of this and read it over yourselves, I do have a Patreon. If you want to, you can go and access it. If you don't want to, by all means, don't. There are other places to go and find these things. Please go ahead and Google them. I am not twisting anybody's arm. Patreon.com/real_onepeg. This is a notice of appearance, and there are two new attorneys at play here. The notice of appearance in this case was signed by Michael E. Chade and Chris J. Lindemeyer. Now, Chris is not noted in any of these applications for leave that were also filed with the court, although there are two other applications for leave that are not something that can be downloaded as of now. I'm guessing that the PDFs will be added later, but they are notated in the U.S. PACER court system. According to this, this is them saying that they have been at court and they, as counsel for the defense, have shown up. There is also an application, and it was granted by the judge for a 30-day extension. The most common thing, apparently, in Western District Courts is if there is a case like this where the defense is from outside of the United States, it is an extremely common thing to be granted a 30-day extension. Whether or not Ironmace actually releases Dark and Darker within the next 30 days is something that we don't know. They could. It's very possible that they could end up doing that. From people that I have talked to, various game developers, heads of studio with very, very famously popular games, people that I have come to know over the last 5 years, they all have slightly differing opinions. Some say that in their cases with their attorneys, they were told not to touch a damn thing. In other cases, the attorneys had said, well, until the point in time where we actually have to give a response of some kind, just kind of keep developing whatever you're going to develop, and hey, wherever the chips fall, they fall, whatever. So we don't really know. Ironmace could end up just riding the lightning and pushing the game out in advance of this 30-day window before they potentially end up having an injunction placed against them. But it's a stronger position to argue from by saying, hey, we're generating income off of this. This is how we and all of our employees are feeding our families. Please don't turn this off. And that has precedent. In the past, there have been cases like Samsung that got sued by Apple because Apple said that Samsung stole copyrighted stuff from them. And Samsung was found guilty, but the injunctions were never granted, primarily because Samsung's core part of their business, over 50% of Samsung's global sales, is from their cell phones. So in this case, they weren't crippled as a result of not being able to sell cell phones. The meter just kept running, and when they were found guilty, they had a bigger fine at the end. That's it. So we don't really know. It could be that Ironmace ends up getting their hands tied, or they could be allowed to conduct and continue business, and if they're found guilty of anything, they end up owing Nexon a chunk of change or a percentage of the business or whatever. We don't really know what's going to happen. It could be that they are free and clear. Moving on from here, we have an application for leave being signed by Aaron J. Moss, the primary attorney, the lead attorney for the defense. Now, Aaron is out of Los Angeles, California. He is what we would refer to as a rock star attorney. And we meaning like the looking on public or whatever. I'm not an attorney. I don't know if y'all knew that. But from all intended, from all positions, Aaron is an IP litigating rock star. He has represented Mattel. He represented different corporations and companies in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. He currently holds an appointment to be able to argue cases in front of the Supreme Court. That is not given out to just like anybody. Aaron is a litigating juggernaut, which is good because Ironmace needs a litigating juggernaut right now. In addition to that, we also have a separate application for Joshua Geller. Now, Josh Geller was the primary, co-defense attorney. That was the person that sent me off a copy of the letter that was sent off to Valve. Again, I think that the idea behind the letter was not only to try and sway public opinion a bit, but also to try to show a track record of them trying to get Ironmace's game back listed again. And by not having it listed, they could argue that there's some form of monetary hardship as a result, being, lack of proper marketing, et cetera, et cetera. From here, there's also something where Aaron Moss also lists a local attorney, Michael Chait, from a different law firm, from Savert, Bruce, and Willie. Now, Aaron Moss from Greenberg Glusker, as well as Josh Geller, are both located out of Los Angeles, California. In this case, Michael Chait is located in Seattle, Washington. There's a local attorney that probably understands the Ninth Circuit Court in Washington State a little bit better than guys from LA. They're more familiar with the judge. They have better rapport. They have a history with the court. They get a little bit more respect that way. It gives them a stronger argumentative position if there's a local person there trying to work through a case with them all. Third, we also have this person, Emily Avazian, who's a representative of Greenberg Glusker, another attorney that's being added to the defense. I'm not quite familiar with either one of these two remaining attorneys that have been named, but I will end up probably doing a video where I look up the defense versus that of the prosecution and see, what their histories are like and, who's strong and who's weak and, who the heavy hitters are. But suffice to say that just about everybody in this case is a heavy hitter. And finally, in regard to the extension itself, Terrence Park ended up posting in the Dark and Darker Discord, "Hello, everyone. I wanted to provide a quick update on the legal situation. Our lawyers in the U.S. have gotten a 30-day extension before we have to respond to the lawsuit there. This is very common in U.S. courts. I wish I could share more information about our strategy, but I'll need to stay silent for a bit longer due to the sensitivity of this issue. I look forward to sharing more soon. As always, hold the line." Now, that is everything that we have insofar as information that's new. Based on the date of filing, this means that we would see them appear in court on July 17th, a Monday. Now, that is actually 31 days, but the 16th, being 30 days from now, would be on a Sunday, and they're obviously not going to hold court on Sunday. So July 17th is the working date of our next court appearance, which means that we'll likely end up having documents uploaded into the PACER system of the response and whatnot that we can then pour over with excruciating detail. I'm actually really looking forward to what their arguments are and what cases they cite and the precedents and whatnot. I'm really looking forward to this. I'll probably try and see if I can schedule some other attorneys that are familiar with IP law to kind of chime in on this and see what their thoughts are moving forward. That way, everybody could then be on the same page. I try not to mess up anything and give you guys some wrong information as best I can. But in the meantime, thank you guys for coming and checking this out. I really, really do appreciate it. If you want to stop by the streams, you can find me at twitch.tv/Onepeg. As always, if you would be kind enough as to sub the channel here, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of your eyeballs, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.